Hello and welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Big Italy 42, joined here by Christopher Ruckus at Space Jam 23 DFS. You got two slates of action today, but we're focusing on the night slate as we do. And not a bad slate of games, 8 games, just enough where you feel comfortable with making yourself nice cash game lineups, but not too many where there's not a ton of options. So, plenty of spots to get the best option and be able to beat everyone else, certainly. And some good pitchers on the mound and some guys that are really too cheap that we were noticing as well.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, if we're going to start out at pitchers, number one pitcher of the night, GPP, cash games, whatever kind of games they're offered. The greatest name, first name in the world, Christopher. Last name, Archer. He's 8.6K tonight going against the O's. Justin, just tell me why you love Chris Archer. You said this last week. You're like a huge Chris Archer fan. Tell the world why.
I mean, it's that great smile. And look at the DK picture. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason
outside of that, the guy's been incredible. 30.6% strikeout rate, 59.2% ground ball rate, 199 WOBA to righties, 223 WOBA to lefties. You look at what he's done, seven innings, 2 hits, 7 Ks against Toronto. Toronto again, 2 hits, 7 innings, 11 Ks. Boston, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 0 earned, 9 Ks. These are good lineups. He did give up 3 earned against this same Baltimore team with 5 Ks, first time out, but I'm not concerned about that. The guy since then has given up zero earned runs in his last 4 starts. And he's $8,600, priced just below Miguel Gonzalez tonight on DraftKings. So don't overthink this one. Chris Archer has to be one of your 2 pitchers in every single game tonight. And if you're not doing that, I don't know how to help you.
I'm doing it.
It's as simple as that tonight. He's this year been by far the best pitcher of any of these guys, and I don't think it's even close. David Price has been really good outside of a few starts, but we've seen that. Kansas City is death on these top pitchers. Their upside is so capped with these guys putting the ball in play all the time, and I just don't think you can play them at that price outside of tournaments against that team.
Yeah, no. Chris Archer, easily top option. And then it's interesting because, you've got Gio. You and I talked about this before the show. He's looking great. He's got one issue, command. And, 1 walk last game, 4 the previous, 4 again against the Phillies. And the Mets walk. They have patience at the plate, so I'm not going to be playing Gio. I'll take Miguel Gonzalez at 9K is just cross it off your list. I don't want to hear anyone. Yeah, don't play him. I don't mind McHugh tonight, 7.9K at home versus Seattle. Going down a little bit. I know everyone got burned by Walker earlier in the year, but he did play against Oakland and the Dodgers. Let's look at Oakland and the Dodgers now. They're smashing the ball. So those are his first 2 outings. Last 2 outings, 21 fantasy points, 26. Houston, Texas. I like Walker for 7.1K. And then, our favorite play, you know what? Walker is slowly becoming my pitcher number 2. We talked about Pomeranz at 5.4K, who's got good stuff, but he's getting hammered by righties. Yep. So Chris Archer, for me, number 1. And my number 2s are going to go right to McHugh and Walker, I believe.
Yeah, everyone that knows me knows that I'm a huge fan of Colin McHugh as well. So $7,900 for me. It's pretty simple. I'm pairing Chris Archer and Colin McHugh. You've got nice upside. McHugh 23% strikeout rate was even higher last year. 54.8% ground ball rate gives you the top 2 pitchers at keeping the ball on the ground. And outside of Jorge De La Rosa and his 7 innings pitched so far this year, that also gives you the top 2 strikeout rate guys on the board tonight. I'm not counting Jason Marquis in that because the Brewers kind of helped him out with that a little bit. So technically he's number 2, but I'm not buying those numbers. And those 2 guys, you can get both those guys for, $16,500. It's just too good for those 2 guys. So a few other guys that I'll look at. I'll consider Brandon Morrow at home at 6,900. Pitched really well at home against the Dodgers as well last time out. So obviously Dodgers just as good, if not actually a better lineup than Colorado. Does get to pitch in Petco, so I think he makes for a fine tournament play, but I don't see any reason to pay down to him when you can have those 2 great options there in cash games. And as far as cheap guys go, you already mentioned Pomeranz. getting hit hard by righties, but at that price, I mean, as long as he gives you a quality start, I mean, he's certainly going to pay that off. So, all right, moving on here to catcher, where you've got Stephen Vogt against a righty. Yes, Nick Martinez somehow has been really efficient. I'm not going to say really good this year. I mean, 10.5% strikeout rate, 7.6% walk rate. I mean, he's been getting it done. Hasn't given up any home runs this year. Got to think that one's coming. Got to think that multiple ones are coming. He's just not that good. He's due for some regression. And I like Stephen Vogt at 3,900, as I always do at catcher against a righty. I think he's one of my favorite targets to get a hold of one tonight.
So not even close. I think he's easily top option at catcher tonight. I mean, well, not maybe power upside. I think the biggest upside catcher tonight is probably Evan Gattis, because Walker has shown some issues in the beginning part of the year. Gattis hit one long last night. He has been hitting the ball better. My second catcher, obviously, AJ, Mr. Przinsky, 3.4K against Marquee, batting fourth. I mean, not much to be said there. There's really, if you're going down the list, is Edison Volquez starting today?
Yes.
Or is he just,
as far as I know, he should still be starting.
Okay. No. Oh, his 5-game his 5-game suspension starts Monday.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess, because look at Alex Avila. If you need somebody cheap, 2,800, not a bad play. Obviously, he's not going to light the scoreboard on fire, but if you need a cheap play in that, Tigers offense, I don't mind Avila as a punt play. And then also, he had a big night, 2 nights ago? Jordan Pacheco.
Yeah.
Against Baker. If he's batting, you got to just double check he's in the lineup tonight. 2.5K. That's probably my punt option if I am, but I'm going Vogt almost all my lineups.
Yeah, I like Derek Norris as well. He's been quietly having a good season. He's a good hitter going against Jorge De La Rosa, but not trying to target a ton of guys in Petco today. So at 3,500, I think he makes for a fine play as well. And, I mean, we have to still mention AJ Przinsky, as cheap as he is, $3,400. I mean, the guy's still getting on base every day and batting in the heart of that. Not a great lineup, but he's still batting in the heart of the order for a team that's putting the ball in play. I mean, they're not striking out a lot, they're not scoring a ton of runs, but they're giving you opportunities. So I don't mind him either. All right, moving on to first base. You got your obvious top options. Miguel Cabrera against anyone. With tonight just happens to be Edson Volquez. Of course, he's in play at 5,500. Massive upside, but at the same time, I think he strikes me as more of a cash game play tonight because he's got a nice high floor and a fine matchup. You've got Paul Goldschmidt tonight. Obviously, $5,400. He's always in play. But, I mean, it's expensive to pay for these guys tonight. But like we mentioned, our favorite pitchers are not very expensive. And you get Adrian Gonzalez tonight against Jeremy Hellickson, who has big-time issues with fly balls throughout his career. Big-time issues against righties as well. And lefties, really. I mean, Jeremy Hellickson just not a very good pitcher. And I once again like the Dodgers and Adrian Gonzalez to exploit this matchup here.
Yeah, so I love Adrian Gonzalez. Same price. Well, actually, $100 more expensive. Your boy, Mr. Votto. 4.6K for him. Come on. I mean, let's go. The guy is he the best? He's got to be one of the top 5 best hitters in baseball.
If you ask me, he's top 2. It's him and Miguel Cabrera, or Tim Cabrera and Trout. Top 3.
He's amazing. He's absolutely
incredible.
So 4.6K for him against Eric Stoltz, that's not enough. He should not be 4.6K with the season he's having. Also, who's really cheap, and I know that Atlanta is terrible, but Freddie Freeman at 4.2K, that's a little bit cheap for him. So, I think you can get some serious value. It almost seems like DK prices have just dropped tonight. Yeah. You see our pitchers. We're looking at Joey Votto, 4.6K. Freddie Freeman, 4.2K. You can get Ike Davis against Martinez tonight for 2.8K.
Yep.
I mean, those are my plays. I don't think there's reason to go get cute, get fancy. I mean, Todd Frazier's 5K. Joey Votto's 4.6K. I don't think there's a question who you take in that matchup.
No, it's not even close. I mean, if you want to be different in a tournament, you could go Frazier, but I mean, Votto is just such a damn good hitter. I mean, he's a guy that I play in cash games almost every single night, and I pay up there, and almost every single night he pays that off, and almost every single night no one else does. So, me looking for an edge for a guy who's a great hitter that always goes underlooked, especially in cash games, I mean, it's Joey Votto.
Yeah, not close. And
Yeah.
on to second base.
Yeah. So those are the guys that you're looking at there. Second base, you got Jose Altuve tonight. Of course, Altuve always in play. The way that he's hitting the ball is just absolutely tremendous. Is against a righty this tonight, so maybe his ownership is a little bit lower because obviously we know he matches lefties. But I mean, it's almost unbelievable what this guy's doing. He now has 9 consecutive games with at least 2 hits. I mean, he's expensive, yeah, $5,000, but he gives you a ridiculously high floor. He gives you a fine ceiling too because he's got some pop. He steals bases. He scores a ton of runs. Houston's starting to hit the bat or swing the bats well. So I mean, Altuve is by far your top option. I think maybe some people will be scared off with it not being a lefty on the mound, but I mean, he's a great hitter against both hands.
Yeah, keep going. I want to pull up a stat from last night on something.
Okay. Elsewhere here, I mean, Robinson Cano has been a pretty big disappointment. Did have himself an RBI double last night, 4,500 against Colin McHugh. He's a tournament-only option for me, not a guy that I'm actively targeting. If you want a cheap guy with, or a guy for your GPPs with some solid upside, 5 dingers on the year. The guy doesn't hit for average, but at 4K, second base or third base eligibility, Louis Valbuena tonight against Taijuan Walker. We know Taijuan Walker, I mean, I guess pun intended, the guy walks a ton of guys, gets a lot of batters on, and that gives you opportunity. And we know that Valbuena's been batting second in this order. Some big bats behind him, Springer, Gaddis, some guys that are starting to swing the bats. So I like him as a tournament play as well.
No, completely agree with you. And what I'm looking for right now is Jose Altuve's ownership in GPPs last night. Now, I can't find a lineup that has Altuve in it. Here we go. He was 18% owned actually. I didn't think it was that high, but even so, at second base, his upside is just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love Altuve tonight. I mean, if we're getting away from Altuve and we're looking a little bit cheaper, same price as Mr. Valbuena, Howie Kendrick, that same offense, batting third most likely, 4K can't beat that. I mean, Adrian Gonzalez behind you, I don't mind a 4K price tag on Howie Kendrick tonight.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I think he's in a fine spot there. And a couple other guys we're going to mention here. I mean, it's tough going down here cheap. You want to see DJ LeMahieu led off last night. So if he leads off again, he's having himself a fine season at $3,200. 10 fantasy points last night. I mean, the guy's batting .417 quietly, leading all second basemen, even over Altuve. So if he gets a favorable lineup spot again, that's a really cheap price for him. Garvis Solarte, another guy, he had 4 ribbies last night. You're looking at his logs. I mean, he's got 3 double-digit games in his last 4. He's only 3K. I think it's going to be one of those guys if I'm paying down tonight.
Yeah, easily. Not a question.
All right, third base, of course, Miguel Cabrera, eligible here once again. Guy who was a big letdown last night. If you want to play him in a tournament, this is the ultimate contrarian play. If you're not playing Chris Archer, is Chris Davis over here at $4,900. Everyone's going to be on Archer. That's something you and I talk about every once in a while, that, you play the guys against the pitchers that everyone's going to have, and if they hit, then it's going to pay off a big way. You and I were on Dozier a few days ago against Sale. That paid off in a big way. So I'm not necessarily recommending that play because I will be all over Chris Archer. But, I mean, it's certainly a nice contrarian way to go.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, contrarian way to go. If I'm looking at Ryan Zimmerman tonight at 3.8K against Nice, I mean, that's a great price tag on him, considering Brett Lowry's the same price as him. We can also go to Louis Valbuena at third place for 4K. But I actually really like Ryan Zimmerman. And also, one thing, I don't look at BVP ever. I don't. I just, I really don't. But if it's over, 15 at-bats, I'll give it a look and just see what's going on. So, for example, Ryan Zimmerman slash line versus Nice, 412, 444, and 471.
Yeah,
17 at-bats, 3.8K. I mean, I don't really look at it very often. But adding that with the way the Nats have been hitting the ball lately, batting 5th in that at a third base, which I don't like tonight. I mean, it's hard for me to get Miggy. Maybe we'll see when constructing lineups, but that's a great price, 3.8K for the Nats.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And another guy that, if he's in the lineup again, he batted 6th last night, Justin Turner. Homers in 2 of his last 3 games. One of them was a pinch hit, but $3,400 against Jeremy Hellickson. I am trying to target Jeremy Hellickson. I just don't think he's any good. I love targeting him with good offense, and just so happens to be the Dodgers are the best offense in baseball right now. So I like going down that route. Outside of that, I'm not digging any deeper than that. There's not a whole lot of guys I like down cheap.
No, not at all.
All right, Troy Tulowitzki. You have to talk about him every day. He's not swinging a particularly hot bat right now. Had 2 hits 2 nights ago. Blah, blah, blah. He's going to Petco tonight against a good pitcher in Brandon Morrow. So tournament-only option for me. Marcus Simeon's the guy that continues to hit the ball pretty well. He's been batting near the top of that order. So, if you're going with some guys like Stephen Vogt, Ike Davis, maybe get yourself some extra Oakland exposure. But 4,700 is pretty steep for him tonight. Andrelton Simmons is a guy who has been batting up in the 2-hole quite a bit now. $3,900. I don't mind him at all. Jimmy Rollins is still sitting there at 3,600, but I just am not a fan. The guy's just not hitting the ball well. Got a homer off Vogelsong, but we all did too. So I'm really not buying into that. Shortstop for me tonight, honestly, is going to be which guy gets himself a favorable lineup spot and is cheap, because I really am not a fan of any of these guys. I mean, you can obviously go chalk with Tulo. I mean, he gives you get the best shortstop in the game, and it's not close. But outside of him, I mean, it's ugly tonight.
Yeah, the pricing is interesting too. When I see Ian Desmond and Yunel Escobar at a similar price tag. Also, one guy I love, and you put me on to him last night. I played him in quite a few lineups. 3.6K, Zach Kozar. If he's batting second again, I've been mentioning some Cincinnati bats, but he's hitting the ball well, and that's what we're looking for. Tonight, especially when shortstop's terrible. Marcus Semien, I just don't like his 4.7K price tag. When I can get Jose Altuve for 5K or Semien for 4.7, I just have trouble paying up. I mean, considering Tulo's 5K, Semien's 300 less, it's just hard for me to pay up there. So I think I'm with you, lineup position, and I'm leaning Zach Kozart in a lot of my lineups tonight.
Yeah, and I like this Kozart call. I mean, Eric Stoltz hasn't been awful this year, but over the course of his career, been a pretty bad pitcher. 356 WOBA, or I'm sorry, 353 WOBA allowed to righties so far. 3 homers already on the season, so do the math there. Some cheap Reds righties. I mean, you got your Todd Frazier, you already mentioned. Kozart at a really weak position in a pretty good spot. I mean, one of the better spots for a shortstop tonight. So especially if he's hitting second, I'm a fan of that as well. All right, moving on to the outfield, where you've got your obvious top options. If you'd like to pay for Nelson Cruz, of course you'd like to pay for Nelson Cruz. Why wouldn't you like to pay for Nelson Cruz? He's going to be a tournament only option for me though, because he's going against one of my favorite pitchers in Colin McHugh, and I mean he's 5K. Priced down a little bit, probably due to the matchup. The guy that I like a lot, and I like a lot, is George Springer. The guy can do everything. He hit a homer last night. He has 2 homers in his last 4 games. He also has 4 stolen bases in his last 5 games. I mean, the guy's finally starting to heat up. No one wants to pay that $5,000 price tag tonight because he's not a sexy pick. He's not the name that everyone knows. But I'm a big fan of George Springer in tournaments tonight.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing tournament play at 5K. Nobody will have him.
Yep.
Also, we talked LA Dodgers, Jock Peterson, 4.1K. Raise his price, please, so I have to stop playing him nightly.
Yep. Yeah, he was the guy that you and I had everywhere last night, and I mean, it took 2 at-bats before he crushed that price tag.
Just play Jock Peterson. 4.1K is great tag. I'm going to steal one out of your book. I love leadoff hitters for Detroit.
Yep,
Quote,
I'm looking at it right now.
Justin, Anthony Goes, man, 3.1K? What?
I mean, he's locked for cash games for me tonight for DraftKings.
I mean, even GPPs. When we look at it, you need cheap players for GPPs. Just because they're chalk, he's 3.1K batting leadoff for the Tigers. Obviously check lineups, but that's an amazing price tag. And then also, I'm going to give you one more. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 more of the stupid BVPs, just because I like to say it. I never do this. 41 at-bats is a significant sample size, I think, to even consider stuff. Matt Kemp, 415, 442, 805.
Yeah.
I just like to look at it sometimes because Matt Kemp doesn't get played nearly enough. Neither does Justin Upton, who both have crushed De La Rosa in the past. I know it's at Petco. Their ownership's going to be low. They've owned him. De La Rosa obviously isn't a stud by any means. And I think those make for 2 really nice contrarian plays. Upton's 4K. Kemp is 4.6K.
Yeah. And Upton's one of the best hitters in the game against left-handed pitching throughout his career. So, I mean, I mean, at 4K tonight in that matchup, like you said, he's going to be under-owned due to the ballpark factors and everything. But I mean, he's got enormous upside against any lefty, especially a subpar lefty like De La Rosa.
And what he had 2 stolen bases last night? Let me check. I believe he had 2 stolen bases 2 stolen bases, 2 RBIs, 3 hits, 3 runs, 31 fantasy points, 3.2% owned in GPPs.
Yep. Yeah, Upton is a monster against lefties. I love that call. Another guy who's great against lefties that goes under-owned, and it's an absolute disgrace with the way this guy has been playing this year. Lorenzo Cain is $3,600. Yes, he's against David Price. No one's going to play him against David Price. No one plays the Royals against anyone, seemingly. But 3.6K, he has legitimately been one of the best hitters in the entire league. I mean, looking at his numbers, he's got 12 RBIs, 2 home runs, 17 runs scored, 6 stolen bases, batting .337. His slash line it's 337, 477, 885 this year. I mean, and he's 3.6K. Yeah, he's going against a good pitcher, but I mean, if anyone in that lineup is going to hit lefties hard, it's going to be Lorenzo Cain, and he can do it all.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
All right, that is going to wrap things up for us. Thank you for hanging out with us. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Tons of great content, as always, for tonight's slate at dailyfantasycafe.com. We'll see you guys next time.